So today, as usual, I'm preparing for my next fishing trip. I spend more time preparing for the next one than I do in actually, fishing. But whatever. Can't have everything, right? Okay. Now I have to figure out what I did with it. Swore I had a piece of tape up here, and I did. Probably still do somewhere. Who knows what I did with it? Does it matter? No. Oh well, we'll get it figured out. So, what I'm going to do here, standard toilet paper holder. Excuse me, let me close the office door here real quick. There we go. Standard empty toilet paper holder. And let's see. What I'm going to write on it is for an Alios 300 and it's braid, because I have this reel that has braid on it. And I want to put mono on it. But there's nothing wrong with the braid that's on there. So you don't want to trash it. Okay. Try one of these stickers here that comes on tri-lane line. What we're going to do here, so this is going to go clockwise. So we slide the toilet paper holder on our little drill here. And then well, we were real close to the edge there. So I'm getting close to the end. So I'm just slowing this down so I don't have a reel come up and hit me in the face. There we go. That is all there is to it. So now I have an empty toilet paper holder. Hey, Danny, how you doing? I hope the sound is good. With some braid on it, and I know what reel it fits, so the next time I want to put braid on this reel, I've got it. Okay, probably should have taken this off of the rod to begin with, but here we go. So that was a bad setup to begin with. It's a Cast King Cat Tech bumping rod, and I think it's a medium. I guess I could check since, words mean things. It's a bumping rod. It is, it says 76 HB, which should be heavy, but this is a graphite rod. And what I had on it, because I had braid on it when I was going to use it for a bumping rod, it was the one that had braid on it. And so I grabbed one of my snagging hooks and tied it on there, because you want braid when you're trying to snag for Asian carp. And anyway, not the smartest thing to do, because while a bumping rod, it's made to bring in catfish, and it's made for a catfish technique called bumping, which I guess is not necessarily specific to catfish, but anyway. And you could catch big ones, but I do say bumping Uncle Lou. But do you know what I don't have? An Uncle Lou bumping rod, because I'm trying to figure out when you're going to get more of those in. Because, yeah, gear acquisition syndrome. So what I'm going to do, this is the PC Fun Speed X line spooler. And I like this one more than the other ones because it comes with another piece. You can put a threaded screw through here, and you can actually unwind line off of a reel if you so desire, which can come in handy if you are like me and tend to overspool reels. And let's see. It's a tight fit with the large spools like this, but it'll make it eventually. There we go. So get that on there, and then we just tighten this up. And what that does is it pushes these two jaws together, and you can adjust the amount of pressure or tension when you're spooling your reel. Now, if it were a spinning reel, you just kind of set this guy up, and then the spool will spin around so that you don't end up getting a bunch of line twist in your spinning reel. But this is a casting reel, so we're going to lock that into place. And then you just add your reel down here to the bottom, like so, just like sticking it on a rod. Now, one of the frustrating things, there are two frustrating things about this particular line spooler. And I do have an Amazon store, and it is in the Amazon store. So the Amazon store is in the link to the video, or in the description of the video. Two things I don't like about it. One, I wish there was a place to hold that extra piece that I talked about so that you don't lose it. Even if it was just a little clip or something, and maybe you take it off when you're not using it, when you're using the spooler but don't need that. And the other is I wish it had a longer butt section. And I'm sure there's a time when I'm supposed to scream I like big butts in a count line, all that kind of stuff. But I like a longer handle. But this is not really for fishing. It's just for spooling up the reel. So we get our line wrapped around here. And just tie an arbor knot. And all that is you tie an overhand knot around the other line. So you're not tying it with the line coming off the reel, you're tying it around the other line, or the line coming around the reel, I should say. And you tie a overhand knot towards the end of the line as well. And then the line just kind of slips through and tightens up. And this is not the best place to do a tutorial on an arbor knot, so I won't. But that's the general idea behind the arbor knot. So pull that tight and snip off the tag end, which I probably should have done before to pull it tight. There we go. So we got that on there, and then you just start reeling. I could say Sigma. I don't know why I would. That seems like a strange request in a live stream about fishing. Let's see. Hey, writer, I don't know what you said. And give me just a second. Let me get my tablet going here. And get my chat up so I can read it. Hey, Aiden Phillips, appreciate you coming in. Hey, Scotty, Fun Fishing Adventures. Hey, Uncle Lou again. Colin Camping, how you doing? And Tanisha. Yeah, I'm sure I'm supposed to say your name, and it's supposed to be something funny and stupid and stuff, and I don't understand the purpose of that, but there you go. Let me get a little more, tighten up a little bit. So here I'm just going to put on some 20-pound mono for the joy of doing that. And what I'm going to do is I've got two Alios 300s, and these are the ones that don't have bait clickers on them. And the problem that I've had with my Park Lake setup, which is the KastKing Cat Tech rods, they're mediums, is two of my rods have, or two of my reels have a 20-pound line, and two of them have a 40-pound line. And those 40-pounders, the wind picks up the 40-pound line so much more. So while they're sitting in the holder, there's just a lot more wind blowing on the line. You need a heavier weight and everything. So I'm going to actually pull those two reels off of those rods and put on these two Alios 300s that have 20-pound line on them. Now the downside to the Alios 300 versus the Alios 400, well, one is line capacity, but I'm using 20 pounds, so that doesn't matter. But what does matter is it doesn't have a bait clicker. The other thing that's nice about the Alios 300 and 400 is they both use magnetic braking systems as opposed to centrifugal braking systems. And if you ever get bored and want to go down a gigantic rabbit hole, look up how magnetic brakes work. It's very funny. Or not funny. It's interesting. Because, of course, the real spool is not magnetic. It's aluminum. But the magnets create a magnetic force, and anything moving, at least other metals moving in that magnetic force, are slowed, even though there's no magnetic reaction with the actual spool itself. So there's that. Again, I found it really interesting. And of course, the closer you move in, the tighter or the higher the number as you tighten up the drag or the magnetic brake, it moves the magnets closer towards the spool or further out if you loosen it up. So anyway, this is Silver Thread AN40 20-pound line. I had it for literally over 20 years because I remember when I bought it, or where I bought it. It was in Dallas at one of the fishing shows, and that would have been circa 03, 04, maybe 05. And I have talked about, I use these bags for rigs, talk about using the 4 mil versus 2 mil. Well, these are some 2 mils, and here's the problem with 2 mils. I mean, the hook just snags on them and goes right through. So I found a few of these. They're going right in the trash because they're useless. Because, again, the hook is going to go right through them. And the hook can go through the 4 mil. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's an impossibility. And it will happen. It just doesn't do it so doggone easily. So I've got that spooled up. And now I want to talk about another topic, and that is division in the catfish community. Got 11 folks in here, 4 thumbs up. You want to hit the thumbs up, just double tap the screen. Amazing things happen. And actually, I'd like to point out one thing. See that sign up there that says Fishing the Mid-South? Miss V from Catfish or Catch Fish with Us. I don't remember whose live stream I was in, but she gave that away. And I won, and it came in today, and oh, it's so beautiful. It's just gorgeous. I did a short on it if anyone wants to see it up close and personal and stuff. Anyway, so division in the catfish community. And let me preface by saying, not everybody's always going to get along. That's how it works, right? And I'm guilty of it. I pick on Catfish Dave kind of regularly. And the truth of the matter is, I'm not really trying to be overly mean to the guy. He's not my cup of tea. But I respect that he has built for himself what he has built for himself. He's grown his channel, and he has an amazing following. And a lot of people, they want to step on the head of other people to try to get higher, and it doesn't work. You make, and that has nothing to do with Catfish Dave. I've switched gears there, but infighting among ourselves doesn't help anyone. If you don't like anybody, there's a real simple thing. You hit their name and you click block. Boom, done. You don't have to. It's not an airport. You don't have to, announce their departure, anything like that. If you don't like somebody, block them. End of story. Nothing left to do. It's really that simple. No reason to get in fights with people. And eventually you will. I mean, that's human nature. You'll find people that you don't like, but trying to bring them down, it was say, don't fight with a pig because all you'll do is get dirty and he'll enjoy it. So it's not to say that there aren't bad actors out there, right? Hey, Joshua. Hey, gorgeous Ashley. It's not to say that there aren't some bad, because there are bad people out there. People that are trying to cause drama and problems. And I've seen a couple. And I got warned about them prior to me having my own issues. But it's one of those things where you need to... I give people leeway until they do something to me, or I see them do something specific, or I actually see them do something, as opposed to hearing about it behind the scenes. So anyway, let's be good to each other. I realize I've made my own mistakes. I make jokes a lot. And let me tell you, sometimes they're funny in my head. Most of the times they are really funny in my head. They don't always hit. A lot of times they don't hit. I need to get better about not telling jokes. And you'll notice there are people that I joke with and there are people I don't joke with. Danny the Stinger Manny, because he's in here, I'm going to use him. He doesn't joke around with people. He doesn't, doesn't use deprecating humor towards other people. So I don't make deprecating jokes towards him. Scotty, he and I go back and forth regularly. And that's, to me, that's, it's give and take. And I'm of the opinion that if you can't take a joke, don't give a joke. But even then, sometimes jokes just don't land, and someone can take offense to something that was truly meant as a joke. Well, if I ever offend you, my email address is in the channel description. Email me. Tell me what a prick I am. I don't care that you do it that way. And you can, maybe we can have a dialogue and meet in the middle somewhere, and, maybe something was misunderstood, or maybe I said something I shouldn't have said. And if so, I can apologize. I'm a big man, big boy, big old boy. So anyway, I'll get off that topic. Now, something that I do have that is very exciting is I have a whole bunch of stickers, but unfortunately I don't know what I did on the double-sided tape, so I can't put them up today. Here's a new one by Hitch by Hitch. Love it. And these came from Angie, I do believe. The worst day of fishing beats the best day at work. Ain't that the truth? Eat, fish, sleep, or repeat. And that's Fishing with Angie, by the way. And I guess I should show you her thing. That didn't sound right. Angie, there you go. Angie Fishing. That's her channel name is Angie Fishing. Should have gotten that right on the first one, huh? She's out of East Tennessee. She did some live streams. Now she's going back to more long form videos. She kayak fishes. She boat fishes. She did a video recently. Her and her husband went up to Reelfoot Lake and they had a blast. Sunday Night Bites. That would be our buddy, Fun Fishing Adventures and Bank Fishing Adventures. Scotty and Stacy, they do that on Sunday night between 4 and 6 Central start time normally. I already have a Rods Fishing Adventure up there, but this is a bigger one, so there you go. Return them right. So these folks, I haven't bought anything from them. Florida has a program for I'm sorry, it's not sharks. It's basically if you go through their training course on how to handle reef fish in deep water, so that how to get them back down. They will send you one or two different methods of doing that. One is a lip gripper that you can set the depth that it pops. So you put the lip gripper on, you drop it down on your rod. It gets down to that depth and it pops open and fish goes bye-bye. The other is a reverse hook. It's a piece of metal that of course has a straight end on it, but it pulls the fish down with a 3-pound weight until it gets to where you want it to be. And then you just pull it up and it comes out because the weight was what was pulling it down. So Return Them Right came from one of those. P&W lip rippers. That was one that I got off of Earl's channel, I'm sure. Another skipjack Cindy. Everybody loves her. First Light Fishing Company. So I've talked about these Danco pliers too many times. The Ultimate Braid Scissors. Well, when I couldn't find them on Danco's site because they were out of stock, I found them on First Light Fishing Company. I had never heard of them. They were actually $1 cheaper per pair than Danco's site. I think they charged a small shipping fee, so about 10 pair too, all that. Hey, Small Water Charters, good to see you, John. So, it's one of those things that if it doesn't come through, I'll, reverse the charges on PayPal or whatever because I didn't get it. Nope, they're a real company. Barbie in Oregon has already yelled at me for not having her sticker up there. And I do. You went to the gym and gave up your son. You gave up your son. I'm not sure what all that means. You went to the gym and gave up some? I don't know. I'm sure she will retype it in. I mean, because giving up your son, yeah. I can understand how that parents would want to do that. So we got 2 Barbie organs. Glad to have those. A Sandy Toes. Is that a Sandy Toes somewhere on there? Can't read it. Where is it? That's up here in the corner. Sandy Toes. Thurman Outdoor. Thurman Outdoor Things. That's another one I got from Earl at Hitch by Hitch. Got Flounda Pounda. That is Barbie and Oregon's better half. Yet another 1,000 Reef Robber stickers. And a Bank Fishing Adventures. That's Spacey. The other half of Sunday Night Lights. But what that also means is I don't have stickers in my own, but I have some duplicates. So I'm going to start giving these away. I got an Angie Fishing. I got a Moss Dog Baits. I can't tell you how many Hitch by Hitches I have. I can't tell you how many Reef Robbers I have, because every time you win something from Reef Robber, they're both in there. An extra Boring Fisherman. All these are up there. So don't misunderstand me that I'm not throwing shade at anybody. These are just spares. Skipjack Cindy. I got a Queen Hess. It's Backlash's Fisherman's Queen Hess. That's Boring Fisherman, excuse me. Boring Fisherman. His other half. So Boring Fisherman and Queen Hess. Sorry, Backlash is Coastal Water. Sigo Outdoors. He's out in Oklahoma. No BS. That's Travis. Got a couple of Has Life stickers for anybody that's kind of old school there. Mike's Fishing Home. I may have 2 extras of these. Mike's Fishing Home, thank goodness, has been coming back and gave it my son. Oh, so you didn't give it your all, you just gave it your son? That's fair. Adventure America, that's Troy. A couple of my style baits. Another big Reef Robber. A smattering plethora and such of Hitch by Hitch. I've got this one, I got these, and I got these, and I got none of these. Bigger, which was a bigger one than the other one. Got a couple of, I should know, but I don't. I don't know what that's for, but I've got 2 of them, and there's one up there. Hitch by Hitch, Randy, Old Man Swain, Burrito Catfishing Lady, his better half. Another My Style Baits, some Hitch by Hitch, more Reef Robbers. Another Randy, Big Fishing with Modog. Another Burrito, another Mike's Fishing Home, and a different Fishing with Modog. So I'm going to get these assimilated out at some point. I'm going to sort through them and, so that you don't end up with 34 Hitch by Hitch stickers. And I am not complaining. I'm glad to have Hitch by Hitch well represented up on my board. So I'll be doing some sticker giveaways and some mail outs. And one thing that bothers me, so again, that sign, I don't know if you've seen it yet, Ashley. It's a wood burning on a nice plaque. It cost her almost $20 to send it to me. I checked their channel and they don't have an email address or a way to, a PayPal or anything. So I don't know. I got to figure out how to reimburse them for the shipping, because I'm tickled pink to have the item I won, but having to throw $20 every time you ship something is it's a bit much. Thank you, United States Postal Service. So there we go. You did see part of the video, yes. I went through a clump of rigs that were all tied up and got my wire cutters and freed up everything. So I've got a bunch of terminal tackle laying here on the desk. And a SIM card that I don't know what it's from. Oh, yes. It was from Total Wireless, and it goes in the trash can. Total Wireless uses Verizon network, and they have been nothing but a problem for me. When I had to pay for 2 months service on the phone that I got, this one here, so it could get unlocked. I was chasing a deal. I wasn't planning on staying with them anyway, but I've tried using it when I was out live streaming. It doesn't work well. So And there's a piece of tape I was looking for earlier that I couldn't find, but doesn't matter now. So in the trash it goes. So as some of you may know, I have been doing my best to come up with an alternative to the dropper loop. A better alternative that I've found is using a triple surgeon's loop. But I really like the idea of the mortician's rig. And I think with lower weight line, thinner line, it works better than it does with heavy line. So the heavy line is really what I'm working on now, trying to figure out a better way. Because you put an overhead knot and it slips. But that's because you get, 40 or 60 pounds pulling against it. And that happens. So, without a lot of ado, some ado, just not a lot of it, I'm actually going to grab my pull tester here. Get her hooked up. Yeah, I have a little bit of mess. Hello, Inara. Welcome in, welcome in. And to any of the other folks on here that have channels, if you've noticed that we have not seen anyone asking about edits for a certain person, it's because I actually have the person's name blocked. So if you go into, you have to do it on a computer, but if you go into the community tab, I think it's community moderation, something like that, you can put in blocked words. That's one of them. Also, the tree grow thing is in there too, so that we don't have to deal with those. And you can see it has cut down on the idiots a lot. And of course, if you're a moderator in here and somebody says something that is inappropriate or misspells Mr. Jackson's name to try to get around the block, kick them. I don't mean time them out. I mean out the door forever. Don't care. There's no reason to be dragging that crap in. So, here's what I want to test. Take a hook. I should have done something else first, but we didn't do that. So there's that. And let's see. Got some trilene, 60-pound big game. So let's cut off a smidgen of that. We're going to go with a bent eye hook. This is, I do believe it is an Uncle Lou's hook. Back when he sold hooks. We're going to do, come here. I know not Snell, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got our 8 wraps for now. Run it back through the back and snug her on up. You're like, okay, so big deal, Mike. Yay. Then what I'm going to do, just make a double surgeon's loop on this end. And this is how I test these. I'll take my rig puller, put this around, wrap this around a whole bunch of times, because what I'm trying to do is I want the line to break at the right spot. I want it to break either at the knot or somewhere in the line. And basically I'm trying to make sure that I don't weaken this other side. So the test that we're going to perform today should be interesting to everybody. Let's turn the power on. We'll set the peak and we'll set the unit to pounds. Set the peak again. And this is the shield. So let me tilt everybody down here. You kind of get an idea what's going on here. So that shows the strength. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull and just putting the the box over this so that if this breaks, the hook does not come flying in my face. So this is 60-pound line. So we're going to pull it up for a while. £40.9. It's still there. I'm not trying to break it. So we'll let that do its thing for a minute. And we'll take the weight off of it. Zero it back out. Do it again. Again, we're going to try to run it up to about 40 pounds. 43.7, but there we go. Let's sit for a minute, like, you know, we're fighting a fish. And take all the slack out, zero it out again, and one more time. Yeah, went up to 42.3, which is fine. Okay. So the test that we're trying to do here is to see if this will break at a weaker amount of pull because it's been stretched multiple times. So we'll zero it out. We're going to run this till it pops, or until I run out of room on my puller. Okay, remember how I said the no-knot snell is a strong knot? Then it didn't do good things to the hook. But the reason it didn't do good things to the hook .72 is what that says. I know it's backwards, but 72.1. That's the strength at which this broke. So, 60-pound line, I would expect it to have about 70 pounds of strength. So the answer to that question is no. Stretching it multiple times does not. Hey, Kevin Fishes. Hey, Alan, you want to hear some tunes? I mean, you just heard the hook, the rig puller, the linear actuator. That seemed like a good tune. You can't really play tunes on YouTube due to copyright restrictions and stuff. And yeah, so let's see. Grab one of the non-molested hooks, so you can see there definitely was some bend in there. Not enough that you're going to lose a fish, that's for sure. There you go. So I hope that answered that question. And I'm surprised. I would have thought that it would have broken weaker. I was planning to do another test with the same hook and see what the breaking strength is without stretching it first, but it doesn't matter. Again, we stretched it to 40 plus pounds 3 times. And then we took it till it broke, and it went to 72.1. Nice showing. But now that brings me to another question. I've said that in my preliminary testing, the egg loop knot is as strong as the no-knot snell. We're going to test that theory now, because it was with lighter weight line that I was testing. So here we go. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shamil, Shamazel, Hafiz up incorporated. Hey, F and Saint. So we did our 8 wraps. We're going to go through here. Leave tag end out. We're going to wrap again. We're going to do the egg loop knot. There's a better tutorial. There is a tutorial on this on my page. We'll do 4 more wraps, and then we'll pull all of this through. There we go. There's my egg loop nut. And I put way too much line on this one. So I'll do my surgeon's loop here just so I can attach it to my Flicky, and I'll cut the tag end off of this piece because there's no reason to have it hanging around. And so for anybody who cares, it was about $100 for the rig puller. And between the actuator, a little over 100 between the actuator and then the pull tester itself and all that. And let's see. There it went. The other thing I can tell you is I've picked up other pieces of line from previous tests that have gone flying. These rig pullers that I got off of Amazon, that was what was being used on one end of that. So 70 pounds of force, and it was fine. I mean, it went flying across the room, but you know, what do you expect, people? All right, so we're going to get wrap it around, or wrap it around and round 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 we go. So what inspired this was last night when we were live. One of my egg loop knots actually broke earlier than I expected. Number of reasons behind that could be just dumb luck, because sometimes dumb luck does happen. I tried using smart luck, but it's more intelligent. All right, so we're going to zero this out and get a little bit of pressure on this thing so it doesn't unwind itself. And just because everyone loves carnage, and yesterday I did manage to stick myself and make myself bleed really good, so you know, I don't want to deny you guys the joy. Let's see. And you still can't see this, but now you kind of can. Ignore the mess. So it's right now it's 0.8, but that's because I already pulled a little bit to do that. So we're going to cover it up so that, again, I don't get hook in face. Start up to 50, 60, 68.2. And there's my, now that's interesting. It tells us two things. One, that the knot is what broke. Let's move things back around. So the knot broke on this one. And that may be a function of the egg loop knot itself. About 75% of the time with the no knot Snell, the knot breaks anywhere but the knot, like moves in front of it. So the no knot Snell, at least 75, 80% of the time is great. Egg loop knot took it to 68.2. Yes, it's measuring breaking strength. So get that off here. So I've got a linear actuator over on this side that's hooked to a 12-volt battery. And then on this side, I've got the pull tester. And upside down, it says, I think it said 68.5. I'll read it again before I put it up. So yes, and so I set it to pounds of force, and I set it to peak so that, you know, it doesn't just, when it breaks, go back to zero. 68.2 is what it went. 68.2 pounds is what it says. So again, I'm not telling you what's right, what's wrong. I'm telling you, I'm providing you information. Do with it as you will. 60-pound Trilene big game is what we're using there. So 68.2 versus, I forget, it was like 73 or something on the last one that did not break at the knot. So the egg loop knot may introduce a little bit of weakness over the no knot Snell, but I don't think it's enough to matter. There you go. Hey, NJ Fishing Maniac. Yeah, Colin, I really like the device. Yeah, and then I mounted on 2x6 that I had laying around. what I got was the 12-inch pull because that's the longest I could find at a reasonable rate. And I get a pull to 105, 110 pounds. And what was the other thing? Oh, it goes about 0.7 inches per second, which was faster than most of them. You can get them that go faster. You can get them that are stronger. You can get them that, have longer pulls. But the reason I went with this was cost benefit analysis, right? And then I added a little switch so that I can run it back and forth. And you don't have to hook it to a battery like I did. You can hook it to a 12-volt power source, like a 12-volt AC to DC 12-volt, or 120 AC to, you get the idea, 12-volt DC. But anyway, and it's been a good learning tool. It's taught me a lot of things. It gives me more data, which is what I'm trying to provide you is data. And this is also how I have determined that the dropper knot, the T-knot, the dropper loop is not a good knot. I tested it and it was way below the line of strength. So that's why I'm trying to find something better. The triple surgeon's loop is better, but I'll tie one of those dropper loops so I can show you guys why I complain so much about it. So you make a loop in your line like so. Easier said than done. There we go. The stuff has some memory. Who knew? Okay, and then you hold it on each end and you flip the center lines around each other. Doing half twists. So most people will do 6 twists. I've tried it with 6. I've tried it with 8. I tried it with 10. There wasn't a appreciable difference that made it strong enough. Of course, the size of your loop determines the size of this. And you snug it down and pull it. Okay. So the problem with this is, and it's supposed to be larger. I didn't make it larger because I'm a bonehead. Is that you then take see if I can find a smaller circle hook than the larger circle hook. Here's a smaller one. You then fold it in half, put it through the eye, and then run the hook through it and end up with a cow hitch knot. Well, the problem is with thicker line, the cow hitch knot is not going to stay secured at the top like this. It's going to get wrapped around and it can get under the bottom. And when it's under the bottom, like it has right here, see, then as the piece of wire comes around and you have the cut end that's bent around, that knot is sitting right there in that cut. It's on one side that's solid, one side that's cut, but you get it. So it's going to break easily. Okay, Briley. Here's what we're going to do. Let me get right on that, okay?
Look, fool. Literally, no one wants an edit. Trolls suck. And I ain't talking about no little doll with crazy hair. I'm talking about them keyboard warriors hiding behind their screens, spewing venom. Yeah, those trolls, they suck. Trolls suck.
So,
I ain't talking about no little doll.
I would like to thank you for letting me use that sound. I'm not doing a Lamar Jackson edit. Lamar Jackson, first off, you are doing damage to the man's reputation. I didn't know who he was until you idiots started doing this nonsense. But I can guarantee you, I'm not going to put a penny of money towards that man. So he doesn't care about you. I don't care about you. Quit doing that stupid shit. And bye-bye, moron. Anyway, so back to this. She already figured out that I'd already blocked Lamar Jackson spelled properly, so she spelled it incorrectly. So that's one of the reasons I don't like it is you get the cow hitch knot that's going to do this. Even if you wrap it around it multiple times, you still don't have that quote trigger action where you're supposed to have the snell where you're pulling the hook by the shank and yada, yada, yada. So I don't like that knot for a plethora of reasons. And I've gone over some of them. And even when you take the cow hitch knot out of the equation and just pull on this, it's not that strong. I guess I'm going to tell you that. The least I could do is prove it, right? Okay, so do my double hitch knot over here, or not, sorry, my surgeon's loop over here. This is not going to be a very long knot. So I have my surgeon's loop, it's a double surgeon's loop on the left, and the knot, the T knot on the right. Let's roll this guy back. Come on. And I hope it's long enough as it is. Probably should have thought this through a little better. We made it. Okay. We'll power it on. Oops, wrong thingamajiggy. Okay, so we set the unit to pounds and we set peak, so we mark when it actually breaks. And then here we go. So this is 60-pound line. This is what I expect to break, but we'll see. There it is, the T-knot broke. 39.2 pounds. And we've already seen from other tests that the line strength is over 70 pounds, even though it's rated for 60. So you've got 39.2 to 70. You've lost almost half the strength of the line with that inferior knot. And this is the double surgeon's loop, and it held up longer than the T-knot did. So, again, I'm telling you, I'm trying to give you additional information. I don't want to just tell you that the knot's bad. I'm going to show you. And I had the same results, like I'm 20 pound. You lose almost half the strength. Let me go ahead and snip off another piece for giggles. And I'll do a triple surgeon's loop on this end, which is just double line over, overhand knot, but go under it 3 times. There's the second time, and there's the third time. So this is what I advocate using instead of that T-knot. And then on this end, I'm just going to tie a double surgeon's loop, or just what is called a surgeon's loop. And this one we don't care about, because this one is just so we can wrap around this guy, so that we're trying to remove the other half of the equation, so that the line should, we're trying to break the knot or the line. We're not trying to test the knot on the other end of things. So let's pull this one around, zero it out, and I'll show you the results when we're done. I went the wrong way. Let me rewrap this up so it's correct. Oh, one more. Put it on there. Okay. Then all right. Six 2.3. Yes, Colin, you're absolutely right. I mean, the drag and the rod and everything all play a part in this, but you still need to care about the strength of the line itself, right? I mean, we're not all out there using 4-pound mono to bring in 50-pound fish, because the line strength does matter. How it breaks matters. The drag helps you. The rod action helps damper that quick pull. But again, this moves at about 0.7 inches per second, so it's not flying away. 62.3 pounds on 60-pound line that we've seen breaks around 72, 73. So you lose about 10 pounds of strength versus losing 30 plus pounds of strength. And Colin, I'm not ignoring your point. Please understand that. What I'm trying to say is there are a number of variables involved, right? So you test each variable individually as close as you can. Now, again, throwing a cow hitch knot on there is not going to make this better. But where is it tonight? There we go. So here are some I tied last night. And this is using 40-pound mono, but I want to show you what I did. And so the way this works is this is the bottom, and this is the top of the rig. So you got your swivel here, you got your clip there. So I create the small loop like I just did, the triple surgeon's loop. Then I snell on the hook and use actually an egg loop knot, and then I tie another triple surgeon's loop, and I put these two together. So that gives me a single line going to my hook, as opposed to a double, which you would normally have with the dropper loop. It allows you to actually snell the hook, and yeah. So yes, you can make the T-knot smaller and everything, but that doesn't, and do the same thing, but that doesn't change the fact that the T-knot is a weak knot. It just is. I can't tell you how many pompano rigs I had pre-made using the T-knot, because that's what I learned on the internet. That's what I learned on YouTube from other people that fish saltwater, because saltwater is new to me. And I mean, if you, that is a rig board for the T-knot. I tied a bunch of them. And this rig is really cool, don't get me wrong. I love these rigs. But you're still building an inferior knot. And that is where the problem comes in. It doesn't matter how fast you can build something if it's not good. Fins up fishing, it is for catfish, but it's also for anything that you want to use a Kentucky rig on, for live bait, or it doesn't even have to be a Kentucky rig. It can be a single dropper. Pompano rigs in saltwater are where I learned this knot specifically, and then realized a lot of people use them on Kentucky rigs as well for catfish and such. So again, and I have a lot of line strength test. I have a lot of knot strength test. I have a lot of knot tying videos. They're all in their different playlists on my channel. There's a lot of information in there. The problem is that for each knot test, I did like 5 different pulls, and it takes about 6 or 7 minutes to get through, because I show the whole process, because I don't want to be one of those channels that you don't get to see the methodology behind it. But that can also get boring, and I recognize that. I need to continue the series, but I also need to start doing more of synopsis of them for people that don't care about how the sausage is made. Again, I do have, I'm just telling everybody again, I have an Amazon store. It's in the description of the video. Get on there, you can look at that. And it's going to have a lot of the stuff that I'm going over. It's got Charlie and Big Game. It's got my Suffix Mono. It's got several of the PC Fun reels, as well as some of the saltwater reels I use, and some of the freshwater reels I use. And Daiwa Regal LT, I believe, is on there. The Fluger President, even have the Zebco 33 combo, because if you have to find one place to start a single rod and reel to start with, Zebco 33 is a good place to start. FC Sniper Fluoro. No, I hate fluoro. Absolutely hate it. And this rig is one of the reasons. I've not tried that brand. I've tried Trilene Big Game Fluoro. I've tried Berkeley Vanish Fluoro, and I have tried Suffix Tritanium Plus, which is actually a copolymer. It's fluoro over mono. But I've done a lot of research, watched a lot of videos on this before I tell you that fluorocarbon is garbage. And here's why. Okay. Hey, Fishing with Big Mike. Fluorocarbon has lots of promises. Less stretch. That one's actually probably true. I didn't test it, but I'll give it that because mono has a lot of stretch. UV resistant. I can't test that. I'll give you that one. Better strength. So I can take 20-pound Trilene Big Game fluorocarbon, and it'll break at about 23 pounds. Trilene Big Game mono breaks about 28 pounds. That's the line. That's not the knots. The knot strength on fluorocarbon is hideous. Like, I don't think I've ever tied a knot that got up to the 20-pound rated line. Not past it, just the actual rating. And I tried several different knots. It's supposed to be invisible underwater. I have seen multiple people test on YouTube mono next to fluorocarbon underwater in various conditions, whether it be dirty, filthy, sunlight, dark, clear water, the whole 9 yards. Now, the caveat is using human eyes and using cameras. Fish use neither of those. So is the refractive index different enough that it matters to fish? It might be. I'm not sold on that. And there's a channel out there called Salt Strong. And if you do any saltwater fishing, you need to check them out. And they do sell stuff, don't get me wrong, but they do a lot of informational videos as well. And one of them that he did was he took a big wooden dowel and some uprights and 10-pound weight and calibrated the 10-pound weights even to make sure they were the same. Put mono and fluorocarbon next to each other and had another thick wooden dowel with sandpaper on it and ran it back and forth until they both broke eventually, but to see how many times one would go versus the other. And he would switch them so that, the rig was taken out of the equation as the problem. Every single time mono won. Now, no, you're not going to get sandpaper when you fish, typically. And second, you're underwater versus dry like he was. But that did show me that it's so abrasion resistant. No. Yeah, now, and my biggest issue with fluorocarbon, the money. I believe that, I think Suffix is, not Suffix, excuse me, who was it that came out with it? I forget the brand that came out with it. But they came up with this stuff, and they signed on a bunch of people to push the products, and other people came out with fluorocarbon, and also have a bunch of sponsored individuals. I've heard Bill Dance talk about the merits of fluorocarbon. My results and the results that I've seen from other people that I trust tell me that you're getting schmoozled. The big thing is that knot strength. I found one where it was a guy on the BASS trail. He's like, I hated fluorocarbon too. I tried it. I kept trying to like it, but man, it just kept breaking off. And then talked to some other guys and like, oh, you have to tie this one specific knot. He went over the knot, and I tied that specific knot, and I tested it. I mean, it was better than nothing, but they weren't great. Another example of what got me testing these things, and again, I hate to throw shade at somebody else, but when you're a big name, your name means, well, even, my name means a lot to me. So when if I ever get bigger than I am, and not just around. It's going to be important to me that I don't mislead people. I set up the Amazon store. Now that does give me commission. It doesn't cost you anything extra. And they're all items that I've used and that I strongly recommend. I don't have my own tackle store. I get a little commission from Amazon if you buy stuff through my store. If you don't, I'm not mad. There is a referral link for PC Fun as well. It gets you a $25 coupon on anything over $70. It gets me a $25 coupon as well. So if you've never registered on PC Fun's website before and you want to buy something of theirs, check out their website and check out Amazon, because oftentimes Amazon has a better price. But with that $25 coupon, it's hard to beat that. So if you use my code, I thank you. Don't buy something just because I said it's good. Buy it because it's something that you agree you want. And if you can help me in the process, I appreciate it. Again, it doesn't cost you anything. And in the case of the PC Fund, it actually is going to save you more money. Found out the hard way. I bought some of it. Thought it was mono for 38 bucks for 50 years. Oh, Lord. Yeah, Big Mike. I won't buy the... I want to say it's suffix 832, and it's not. It's something else 832, and I can't remember the name of it. It starts with an S, though. I think they're the people that came out with or maybe I'm thinking Braid. I don't know what I'm thinking about. But anyway. I also don't buy expensive braid. I buy Hercules braid off of Amazon. I buy Joy Mama Yellow Butt. I'm making names off Temu. Okay. My first priority to you is helping you find good gear and helping you save money. So don't pay more to help me out. Find your best deal, please. I beg you. I mean, I post deals when I come across a good deal, and the Amazon store is new. The PC Fun referral code is new, like as of, I think, yesterday. I tried in the past an Amazon affiliate link, but I didn't sell anything because I don't push stuff. I'm not trying to tell you. I'm not an advertising campaign. Now, I will tell you about products that I like. I will mention them by name because I like them. PC Fun does not pay me anything to tell you about the Alios 300 reel, or the Alios 400 reel, or the Chaos Pro 50, or the Chaos XS 50. It's all bought with my money. There's no discounts, there's no handouts, there's nothing. If I tell you it's a good product, it's because I've used it and I believe it. Now, the other thing one last caveat, I don't buy the best. In some cases, I have what people would consider really high-end stuff. Abu Garcia 6500 C3s, but I got them for $70 a piece, not 150. And now it's closer to 170. But anyway, my Uncle Lou rods, I love those. I also have some Anvil catfish rods. I like those as well. I got those because they were on clearance for $50 a piece. The Cat Tech rods from Cast King, they don't make them anymore, sorry. I got those on clearance for $50 a piece. I bought them because they were inexpensive. The Uncle Lou rods are not as inexpensive. But I push Uncle Lou for a different reason. The rods are great. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not telling you to buy an inferior product. The rods are great, but Uncle Lou has been a fixture in the catfish community for at least 3 or 4 years. And when I say a fixture, I mean he comes into live chats. He's in different stuff, this is his side gig. The rods and stuff, it's a side gig. It's his hobby. We just happen to benefit from his hobby. So his prices are not up there with Big Cat Fever and Mad Cats and stuff like that. But one of the ways that you can advertise in any community is to give products away. And Uncle Lou was one of those people that he's like, if somebody was having a live stream giveaway, he's like, hey, throw one of my rods in there. Throw two of my rods in there. Throw three of my rods in there. And he gave away rods to, he didn't give rods away to people like me that are just the content creator. He gave them away in their giveaways. So he helped the content creators out by giving them product to give away. And of course that bought him some goodwill in the community. But Uncle Lou is still around. He's not handing out rods left and right anymore. I think he got burned, honestly. I think that every time he turned around, somebody would, can I have? And then they forgot about him. Somebody else offers something different and they, let me go jump on that. Now I will compare that to another person, and I won't mention the name, who came in the community. He was real active in the community, and he had a new product that he wanted everybody to try out, and he put on a bunch of pro staffers with that product, and he gave some away in giveaways and stuff. And I haven't seen him since. Now people are still pimping his products left and right, but I don't see him being active anymore in the community. That could be that the business has picked up. That could be because he's out in other communities trying to raise awareness for his product. I don't begrudge him that. I'm just saying that Uncle Lou has been here. He's stuck around. He's still around. He's a fixture in the community. And in the last few years, a lot of companies have come out with their own rods that didn't have them before. Uncle Lou has honestly helped them. I know he helped me when I asked him about it. I said, hey, yeah, I want a better surf rod for a better price than what's out there. Can you give me the information on your supplier? And he did. And it turned out that after my own research, it would be too much of a labor of love for me to be able to match prices of companies like Fiddling. Fiddling surf rods are also on my Amazon store. Hey, Jerry Hager, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. So he's really he's a selfless guy. I have a bunch of these little rattles. He was the first person that I know of that had these rattles. He doesn't carry other tackle anymore. He's just rods exclusively to my knowledge right now. But I still have a bunch of these. And he did send, when I ordered something from him, he sent me some extra stuff, and I bought a bunch of hooks from him, and he sent in some extra rattles and probably some beads and other stuff. But anyway, I don't consider myself owing him anything for throwing in some extras with my order. There's no tit for tat here. I think he's a solid man, a solid person, a good human being, and I wish he would do this full time. His rods, as far as I can remember, he was the first person that came out with these high vis rods, big bright orange rods. I've seen glow tips before, and I've seen, like yellow rods and stuff like that. But what I would at the time have called obnoxious orange, he's the first person. And now there's a company called Mad Cats that has a whole bunch of colors. But to my knowledge, they came after him. And no shade against Mad Cats. They make a fine product. Everything I've heard about them has been great. I've never owned one. I'm going to have to find them on sale before I buy one. I'm cheap. I admit it. It's actually called Uncle Lou Rods. No, it's not. I don't have one right next to me. You can find him on Facebook under Uncle Lou, L-O-U. Solid person. Stands behind his products. He went and made, designed, styled, whatever you want to call it, a rod, and went through a few iterations of it. Found one that he liked the way it was. And I don't know what has changed since I bought them. I know that at one point he came out with a purple rod. I think it was purple, maybe blue. Anyway, it was a different color. But when I got mine, I believe it was 7'6", medium heavy. He may have also had a medium. I don't recall. He may have been doing spinning at the time. I think he has spinning now. But yeah, I mean, he was yeah. Colin, was carrot sticks, was it like, did it glow under black lights and stuff? I've heard of the carrot stick, but I've never seen one. And I mean, I'm not like an aficionado on different rods. It's just what I see here and there. Yeah, these look gorgeous under black lights. It has a glow in the dark tip on it. I mean, and again, I've seen other rods that have glow in the dark tips. The problem I have with glow in the dark tips is, so they're charged by sunlight. So if you're out fishing, then as the sun goes down, you lose the charging ability of that, and it starts losing its charge. So at some point, the glow tip is just not a glow tip anymore. So anyway, neither here nor there. And the other thing they did, if I put the Anvil rod and the Uncle Lou rod side by side, the guide spacing is almost identical. Uncle Lou put on the aluminum reel seat. I'm not saying he was the first person to do that. He used these god-awful, strong stainless steel guides, solid stainless steel guides, not goofy little inserts and stuff like that with the, like the ceramic inserts and stuff like that. I mean, it's built to take a lick, and it's S-class. It's an S-class blank. And again, he was, where it got you was shipping, because shipping is not cheap. And when he shipped them in PVC pipe, which really is not cheap now. So if you bought one, it wasn't necessarily a great value with the shipping and everything involved over what you could go to a store that carries stock. But you get 2, 3, 4 of them. Well, the shipping price doesn't change. So the dollar cost average is, you're saving $20, $30 a rod. So catfishing, as I'm sure you know, has been making a resurgence, not resurgence, just a resurgence, as is carp fishing in the U.S. We love to pick on the bass fishermen and make fun of them. And I used to bass fish 20 years ago. Tried doing it competitively and learned I suck at fishing. But bass fishermen, bass angling, and Ducks Unlimited are two groups that really pushed conservation, because it used to be you caught everything you could and you took it home. Catfishing is going through that same conservation push now. And it's been, it's not new. It's been going on for a while, but bass tournaments and such, they learn very quickly. Well, if we start taking all the bass out, then there's nothing to catch. And our tournaments dry up. So it's almost sacrilegious now to eat a bass. Yeah, the anvils are good. I heard about them through Travis and No BS Catfishing Travis and Skipjack Cindy. And like I said, they were on clearance, and they may still be for the Generation 1, which is what I got for $50 a piece. I think it was, again, $25 shipping or whatever. Bought 4 of them. So I have 3 different sets of catfish rods. I have my Cat Tex from Cast King that again, are no longer made, that I got for $50 a piece on clearance. Those are they're medium power. Those are my local pond, lake, park lake kind of thing catfish rods. I have the Uncle Lou's, which are medium heavies, which are closer to a heavy in a lot of other brands. Those are my river rods, or anywhere where I think I might get into bigger catfish. It can be, lakes and such that are, known for having, 20 plus pound catfish. I don't need that power of a rod in a park pond that's going to have a 5-pounder at best. And these cat techs, what did I do with it? I don't remember. Oh, there it is. It's the only one I haven't painted orange. And this is their bumping rod, and this is their heavy version, but they are graphite, whereas all my others are fiberglass, S-glass. And let me flip it around here. So they have the nylon reel seat, and they have the cork handles. I've always been a fan of cork handles from my bass fishing days. It took me a long time to warm up to EVA foam, because if you have been fishing a long time, you remember the foam that used to come on like Zebco rods. It did not have longevity. It was a soft foam. It's not like these EVA. The EVA it's almost non-giving. It's not. You can compress it, but it's going to take you a lot of work. So it took me a while to warm up to EVA foam. So I've got the Uncle Lou rods, and then I've got the Anvils. I bought them because gear acquisition syndrome. They were on clearance for $50 a piece. Stainless steel guides, S-glass blank, and the only thing they had in stock was extra heavy at the time. Them's my Mississippi River rods. And that's not to say that you can't use the Uncle Lou rods in the Mississippi River, but the Mississippi River it's an amazing river system that you have to see it to truly appreciate it. And let me explain. I've seen rivers before. The Mississippi River, when it runs through Memphis, the last dam on any water coming into it that I know of is the Ohio River at Cairo, Illinois. So the Tennessee comes into the Ohio just before the Ohio dumps into Mississippi. The last dam on the Mississippi River proper is up in Alton, Illinois. And that is it's a 5-hour drive by car, so that's at least 250 miles away. So, and Cairo, Illinois is probably close to 100, maybe. So all the water that enters comes down. There's nothing to stop it. There's nothing to slow it. The river runs, and it runs about 6 miles an hour. And that doesn't sound like much when you're driving through a school zone. But when you're in a boat and you have gotten to the spot that you're going, like, okay, I want to fish about 200 yards back from here. Let me turn the boat off, get up front, drop my anchor. By that time, you're like, bye, fishing spot. It was nice knowing you. Hey, Sam S., you gave me a $2 super chat. I appreciate you. I wish I could do a cute dance and sing a little song, do a little dance, and yeah. And I'm not against self-deprecating humor. I just, yeah, there you go. Thank you very much. It's very kind. I do appreciate you. I would say I don't do this for the money, but my goal is to be bigger than Mr. Beast. I already am, just because I eat more than he does. Well, I appreciate it. It means more than you know, because you're saying that my information is worth more than the free that you paid for it, and often things I say are overpriced at free. So I appreciate it. And again, I don't get a kickback from Uncle Lou. I don't get any kind of kickback from Anvil Rods. I have no affiliation, no monetary. I'm telling you what's good because that's what I want to do. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. It means a lot. And I know I've said PC Fun several times here. It's PISCIFUN, for anybody who's not ever used them. They have a lot of good reels for the price. Pontoon Jody, she said that she had a problem with Chaos XS 50 reels. She said they died on her in a season or so. Thank you, Sam. Now, I will tell you, PC Fun has a warranty. If you have a problem during the warranty period, they will replace the reel or they will refund your money. They don't send out parts. I don't know if you can get parts for them. So keep that in mind. I consider PC Funds for the most part to be disposable reels, but they're going to have to change that because when they started off, the Chaos XS 50 and 60 at, $50, $60 a piece, that was their kind of expensive stuff. I didn't have anything over 80 or $100. Now they do. They have electric reels. They have the Alios. So this is the Alios 300. It runs, I think, like $89 on sale normally, somewhere in there. Reason I like this is it's a low profile bait caster. Again, bass fishing days, Shimano Corrado was what I used. So I like a low profile bait caster much more than a round reel. Much, much more. Yeah. And the Alios 400 is the big brother to this. It holds more line and it's got a bait clicker. And you can get these in 8.1 to 1 ratio. You can get them in lower gear ratios too. But let me tell you, when you're fishing in rocks or something and you need to get, if you get the sinker up out of there and you want to get it in or you want to go over a log quickly, oh, beautiful. And the 300 is light enough you could use as a cast and retrieve reel. The 400, I don't know that you would want to do that. Again, it's got the bait clicker on it. They both have magnetic brake systems, which I'm starting to like better than the centrifugal brakes that I'm so used to. And because I'll try to explain it, and please forgive me, I'm not a physicist. I'm not even a psychiatrist, but I need several. The magnetic braking system, as the spool rotates through the magnetic field, it slows the spool down. It puts, I'll call it tension. It's not tension, but it puts pressure to slow it down. It's a magnetic pressure. So it kind of works between slow and fast. Whereas your centrifugal brakes, they work because the faster it spins, the more force is pushed out due to the centrifugal force against the race. And that's what slows it down. So the problem with a centrifugal braking system is when your lure hits the water, there's nothing happening to slow that spool down because it's not going fast enough and you're going to get backlash. Of course, your spool tension knob is what helps there. With a magnetic brake, you can let your spool tension knob off more because it works through the whole arc of the cast from the beginning to the end, even after it's landed in the water. And of course, you can adjust it up and down, that kind of stuff. Round reels, a Penn Squall. I have not gotten my hands on a Penn Squall. I don't like round bait casters because I'm used to, again, bass fishing, holding the rod, holding the reel in my hand. I don't necessarily do that with catfishing, but it's putting the thumb on the spool. It's just not the same with a round reel. It's different. Doesn't make it worse or better. It's just different. And I've heard great things about the Penn Squall. And I recently did a video talking about, the best reels to start off with. And I talked about the saltwater. And I really like the Penn. The Penn has a good name in reels. They're workhorses. They're battle tested. They're not necessarily the smoothest. But if you want something that's going to last for a very, very long time, they're a good reel. They're not. They're not going to win the lightweight award. They're not going to win the buttery smooth award. They're fine, but they're just not, it's not like you can just spin the handle and it goes around 700 times, like with a Shimano or something like that. But they're built to work. So I do like the pin spinning reels. That's the only ones I've used so far. But Creel Catfish also speaks very highly of the Squalls for round reels. So I talked about the Alios 300, Alios 400. The Chaos Pro, I'm really liking it. So the Chaos XS50 it's modeled after, is the nicest way I can put it, the Ambassador Abu Garcia C3 6500. It's got a few more ball bearings, whether that matters. The quality of the ball bearings and the placement of ball bearings is way more important than the number. So don't get lost in the numbers. Your C3 has 3 +1 ball bearings. So you got the 3 ball bearings and the 1 anti-reverse roller bearing, whatever it's called. Whereas the Chaos XS has 6 +1. Okay, well, I'll tell you on the Chaos XS, 2 of them are in the handle. That's a good place to hide bearings. If you want to get your bearing count up, that doesn't do a whole lot, that's the place to put them. Now, the Chaos XS Pro still has 6 +1 ball bearings, but they moved them out of the handle. There were 2 in the handle. They moved under the knob. They moved 1 to the spool shaft and 1 to the main shaft, the crankshaft, whatever the shaft's called. The frame is completely different. It's a stronger frame. It's got 4 connection points with the reel seat versus 2 on the XS50. The XS60 does have 4. But again, it's still that Abu Garcia style frame where you got the 2 thin aluminum side plates connected by rods. Anyway, gonna try that new reel from Rumor Cat's Tackle as soon as I can. Okay, so I saw that. I didn't know if he'd announced it yet. I saw that reel at the Gathering. Now, I like John Cyclone. He sells some premium hooks. They're nice hooks. He's got a lot of other products that he's coming out with. Different kinds of rattles. I believe he carries these kind of rattles, but he also had this, what I said looked like a bomb pop. It's kind of shaped that way. It's got the grooves on the side. It's about yay long, about this big around. It's a EVA foam, I think. And the hole is through the center, as opposed to, like a Demon Dragon or something where you got to go either tie it off on both ends or tie it off and go around. And anyway, it's really cool. I'm not a big rattle guy, but it looked cool. Plus, you get the float aspect of it for your Santee rigs. It looked really cool. The reel. So he told me a number of how much it cost him to get that reel to market. And I don't know if that was in confidence, so I won't say the number. But it wasn't cheap. It was not cheap at all. And he went through several design iterations of it. There are some things I don't like about the reel. It's not that I don't like it. I don't like about any reel like that. The Abu Garcia 7000 has the same thing. It's that instead of a push button or push bar like this or a little push button here, it's got the switch, like conventional reels, probably like the Pin Squall I think has. And again, it's a personal preference thing. It's nothing wrong with the reel. The other thing, this one, I noticed it and I said something to it and he said, that's the way it's supposed to be. And if you've watched my spinning reel video about how to keep the bail from closing automatically, you will appreciate it. And that is, flip it, cast it, turn the handle. It doesn't close it. And it's for the same reason that we have problems with those spinning reels. And that is, let's say that your handle's here. And you cast, and you just whale that sucker. The inertia is going to do this. and that if that closes the free spool on the reel, your line stops abruptly. You hear this noise that says, well, there went my rig. Your rig keeps it going, and your line doesn't. So I think that's a neat feature. I'm actually glad to see somebody, and maybe other reels have done it. I haven't seen any that did it that way. I think it's really cool. It's not a light reel. It is, I don't know what the selling price is going to be, but let me tell you, it's not like you can pick that reel up and say, oh, this looks just like A. It doesn't. This is new stuff. It's new. It's not a copy. Now, maybe it does look like some other reel that I haven't ever seen, but it's not an Abu Garcia Ambassador 6500 copy. So I'm really impressed by that, and I will never. John would be a fool to ever sponsor me, because again, I don't have that. I don't have the ability to only use one brand and push it to high heaven. I'm not a good pro staffer. I know that up well. Hey, Chaos Goat. Sorry, I did see you in here and I haven't said hi, and I apologize for that. Good to see you here. Appreciate you being in here. But I really like, I do like the Chaos Pro XS50. I hope they come out with the XS60. The Pro 60. Chaos Pro 50, Chaos Pro 60. I also did a teardown of the Chaos Pro or Chaos XS50 versus the XS60. I didn't bother with the 40 because it doesn't have a power handle. It's got the paddle handle, and frankly, I think it's too small for catfishing, in my humble opinion. But what I found when I tore them apart is I like the 50 guts better than the 60. I like under the hood, under the side plate, the gears and stuff look very similar. The drag looks very similar between the XS50 and the Pro 50. So I don't know. They talk about how it's high strength gears and all, but I don't know if it's any different or not, because I don't have a way to test that. I can look at them with my eyes, and that's about it. Oh, okay, the pin squall does it too. Okay, so like I said, I haven't ever had a pin squall, but that was one of the things that struck me, as I'm like, and I'm surprised that spinning reels haven't stopped doing that, because spinning reels, for as long as I've been alive, you're supposed to close a bail by hand anyway. Don't do the hand up, because you're adding line twist in there. You don't want it. You're supposed to flip it over with your hand anyway. So if we're supposed to do it anyway, why? Now, why not just remove that feature? Anyway, I yammered on enough about that. I've not ever used a PC Fun spinning reel. I did get 2 of them from Hitch by Hitch. He was doing a giveaway, and I won 2 different items, and he sent me 2 different, the Viper X1000 and the Carbon X2000. I was really glad to get those. I've been wanting to try out the PC Fun spinning reels, and a lot of people love the Fluger President reels. They're not my top choice. They're not my top choice in that price point. I would rather have a Daiwa Regal LT that's very similarly priced. I feel like it's a smoother reel, all that fun stuff. Shimano plus St. Croix. Let me tell you, I was pro staff for St. Croix back in my bass fishing days. They make nice rods, nice rods. They really do. They're an American company. They're up in something Falls, Wisconsin, I believe is where they are. They may have had to go offshore like a lot of companies have had to do, but they really, there's some good folks. They make good rods. They do. And Shimano, like I said, the Curado, back when it was just the Corrado B200 or B100. That's what I used in my bass fishing days. I have one of the newer Corrado. It's not the DC, but it's maybe an H or a K. It's K series. That because I still believe in them. I love my Daiwas, and I'm not a snob. I mean, the Regal LT is a $69 reel, or at least it was when I bought it, on sale for $50. The only downside to it is all of those LT reels. Well, at least the Regal, it is a D, so it's 1,000. The model number is 1000D. The D stands for deep spool, which means it holds a buttload of line. Not necessarily a bad thing, but when you're using 4-pound mono, it is. But I would still take it over the Pflueger President. The Pflueger President feels good out of the box, but it seems to get not quite as smooth as it goes on in kind of short order. Doesn't mean it's a bad reel. That's just my experience. And even when you look at the size 25, which I would definitely get the size 25 over the size 20, because it's 10 ball bearings versus 7, even though I said ball bearing count doesn't matter. But the big thing is the spool on the 20 is a smaller diameter. 25 has a larger diameter spool, but only holds like 10 yards more 4-pound line. So the spool is very similar in capacity, but it's got a larger diameter, so you get fewer coils, fewer twists as the line coils off. I can't bring myself to get the Daiwa BG though. One, the spin fishers have been on sale at a price that I can't beat. The Daiwa BG uses that mag seal system, and I don't trust it. I don't have a reason not to trust it. It's a magnetic grease. You can't buy it. You can't buy the grease. So when you go to service it, I'm not sure how that works. Because I can't wrap my brain around the science there. First, how do you make a magnetic grease without it having metal in it and put it bearings? That's me not being able to wrap my head around it. And the pins are quite fine as far as smoothness for me. Also do have a Daiwa Fuego. I like that one too. Let's see. I talked about rods. I talked about reels. Talked about rods. Did a little bit of testing of strength, which I really, like I say, I'm trying to come up with an alternative or a way to use the Mortician's rig in heavy line, and I've got to work on that. Because the Mortician's rig, you tie 2 overhand knots really close to each other on the leader, and then you run a snood off of it or another little leader that goes to the hook. And the great thing is that you can change those out. You use a weaker line on the hooks and on the swivel, or not swivel, the sinker. So you're not, if you lose part of your rig, you're not losing the whole rig. Anyway. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not dissing on the Pflueger President. I just think that the Daiwa for the money is a better value for me. See, I have not gotten a hold of the Nazi yet. I haven't really used any Shimano's other than the Sienna in their spinning reels since I had they're quintessential. Everybody had one Shimano. What is it? At the time they were $100-$120. I'm sure they're a lot more now. Shimano Stratic. Had one of those, and the Stratics are very nice. And the problem with the Sienna is the bail closing that I talked about. Like I said, there's a video on my channel on how to stop that. You basically remove a piece so that it doesn't auto close. Yeah, the Stratics are good reels. I mean, smooth. When I was in a bass fishing club, and I asked around, and you had your Daiwa fans. You had some were Pflueger fans. Some were another brand, whatever. But your Shimano guys were like, okay, look, the best value in price to features is the Corrado for a bait caster, and the Stratic was what everybody used for their spinning reels, because back then there was no such thing as BFS, bass finesse or bait finesse system. So if you wanted to throw something light, it was on a spinning setup. So most people had 6 or 8 bait casters and maybe 1 or 2 spinning reels. And bass fishermen, I used to, again, they're easy to make fun of. And I was one, so I feel like I'm okay to make fun of you. You're sitting there going, you got 12 rods on deck. And there's a reason for it. They're tournament fishing. They need, if they want to switch baits, they switch rods. They don't retie, because retying takes time. I understand the why. But boy, with catfishing, you still have a whole bunch of rods and reels. But they are all kind of the same, and we take time to tie. A lot of us will pre-tie our rigs. I like the idea of pre-tying rigs. That way there's only one knot to tie while you're on the water. But, we can swap out our rigs and all that kind of stuff. Anyway. Yeah, I've heard good things about, the Nausi's less than $100. I did not know that. Trying to think of, there's a Stratic, it seemed like there was another one that the saltwater guys use a lot. Yeah, my Stratic was an oldie. I think it's like an FH. And I got a little miffed at Shimano over this. It's a 20-year-old reel. Let's get that crystal freaking clear. But one of the things that people talk about, well, don't get the piece fun because can you get parts for it in 20 years? Well, I actually had a bent main or spool shaft on my Stratic. And I didn't know what it was. I just knew it didn't work right. So I took it and got it professionally cleaned. And when it was done, it still didn't do exactly what I wanted. So I realized it was the shaft. So I contacted Shimano. Hey, well, how can I get another one of these shafts? Oh, we don't stock parts for 20-year-old reels. Do I blame them? No. But all of the hullabaloo over the PC Fun reels and the Cast Kings and the whatevers was, well, how you going to get parts for them? I got this reel from 1927. I can still get parts for. And that may be true with Abu Garcia. I don't know, because, they haven't changed a lot over the years. The Catfish Special is a C3 with special paint, and the Carp Special is a 6500 C3 with special paint. Yeah, so perhaps that's the case. I don't know. Yeah, now see, that's where the Alios was. The Alios is trying really hard with the musky fishermen, both in the 300 and the 400. They consider it a musky reel. They made it for the musky market. I don't know if muskies need bait clickers or not, but because the muskies are not lightweights to fight with. And I thought it was, they've been really trying with the musky crowd. And one thing I talked about the Chaos Pro 50, one downside to it, other than it's about $30 more than the XS 50, although I think the value is there. The clicker, I don't know if it's not as loud, but it's not the same frequency, so it doesn't hit my ears the same way. So it sounds softer. If I had my druthers, of course, they'd be as loud as can be. While I'm talking about PC Fun, I've asked PC Fun twice if they would sponsor me, and they were like, your channel is just not big enough. They're not wrong. And normally I would get upset and go, whatever. But really ticks me off about PC Fun is the people that do sponsor. They call it pissy fun or pisca fun. They're giving you free stuff and you can't even learn how to say the name. The other is I actually watched somebody do the 300. Like, well, does anybody know what this is for? I know what that's for. Yeah, it's to close without spinning the handle. I mean, it's not rocket surgery, people, and it's not PC Fun's fault. They want influencers. I filled this one too full. They want influencers that can get out there and get their product in front of more people, and I get that. And it's not that the PC Fun folks bother me. It's a fact. Yeah, this one I'm working at is a PC Fun. What really it just bothers me that these people who have the audacity to take free product and they can't even be bothered to learn the product. Man, did I put a lot of too much line on here? I do that because I'm like, well, I'm going to have to take some off when I run it through the rod, and that's what, 15 feet of line maybe. Here we go. Yeah, I put way too much line on it. And I say that and I'll show you. Yeah, see, it's still maybe a hair overfull. Hey, human. But yes, and I don't think the 400 has this, but the 300 does. And it's really a cool thing. It's a flipping switch. It's not new. I mean, there were flipping switches 20 years ago in the bass community. Some of the reels, that's what I think a Rick Clun reel had that from Bass Pro. And it's, if you're right-handed, it works better. I'm left-handed. But, you cast it, you flip, close. Turn the handle. And you can also just flip the bar up. Same for the 400, you can flip the bar up to close it. Hey, mainly off-grid. Anyway, so I've talked about everything under the sun. Boy, I'll tell you what, though. I know this doesn't affect you guys, but anybody who live streams, there are two big troll issues right now. One is, take the camera for Lamar Jackson edit, which drives me nuts. And then another one that's kind of racially motivated of, would you rather watch a tree grow or a, yeah. I know you've all seen them. I put Lamar Jackson and the grow phrase in my block list. So if they type it in, it's never going to show up unless they misspell Lamar Jackson, which happened earlier. Man, it cut down a lot. A lot. I'm impressed, to be honest with you. And last night I got super trolled. Oh, it was amazing. So I think those of you who know me from other channels, I can troll. I make jokes. I like to have fun. Sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. But trolling is an art form, right? The tree grow thing, that's just stupid. I don't know why so many people thought that was funny. It's not. There's no originality to it. There's nothing, right? Or somebody using the name Dixie Normus. The first time you saw it, it was funny. The last 3,000, it's not. This guy, and I've seen his name in other chats, and I've actually seen him get kicked out of other chats, but I didn't know that because it's human, isn't it? That may be you. I can't remember. I can't remember what your username was here. I remember your actual name from the email. I got a short about it. I was so good. I made a short about it. He's like, "Hey, I'm an artist. I'd like to do a fan art. Can I draw a picture of you and do fan art?" And I'm like, what do you say to that? It's probably going to be a picture of male anatomy or something. My email's in my channel description. So about 10 minutes later, he pops back in and he's like, I drew a picture and I sent it to you. Like, well, thanks, I'll check it out. He's like, well, can you check it out while you're on camera? I want to see your reaction. Which again led me to believe it's probably, some giblets and a hot dog. So open it up. And it has to be AI art. but it was a caricature and it was funny as hell. And I wasn't for sure because I'm at this point, and the trolling is good enough that I'm like, if he really did this himself, I don't want to make him self-conscious. Because it got a couple of things not really right, but it was pretty good caricature, really was. And he's like, hang on, I made another one. This was like 90% right. I think I did this one better. I open it up. It's got a fish sticking out of my mouth and a fishing rod coming out of my head. That was when I was sure it was a troll, and I'm like, that was gorgeous. I thought it was funny, and that, if I had a hat, I'd take it off, and then you'd see my bald head. That was trolling. That was the art of trolling, and again, kudos, my man, kudos. It was not something you copied off of 27,000 other people. It was not mean, although not the most flattering picture, but I'll take it. It wasn't mean. It wasn't rude. You weren't cussing people out. You weren't, making fun of somebody's mama. Just beautiful. And thank you mainly. I do see you there. Thank you for subbing to me. I appreciate it. I tend to not interact enough, and that's because I can't do two things at once. And I'm really happy about this live stream. I think I've made a good accomplishment. I've done a short on this, but I wanted to show it to you guys just in case. And I did it at the beginning of this video if you want to see it. Toilet paper, empty toilet paper holder, drill. Great way to spool line off of a reel. In this case, got it all right here. I've got it marked what it came off of because it's from an Alios 300. But I wanted to put mono on these for now, and I'll want to put braid back on them in the future. And there they are. I mean, it's the right size. Everything's there. There's nothing wrong with the braid when I took it off. I just wanted to repurpose these reels for catfishing with 20-pound mono. So there's that. Oh, still got 3 people here. Of course, I'm probably 2 of them, but I'll take what I can get. Trying to think if there's anything interesting that I saw in the news recently. Without getting political, I am truly amazed at how divided this country is over the deportation of illegal immigrants. I can't wrap my head around the argument of they committed no crime. Literally coming here illegally is crime. That is literally a crime. Some countries it gets you shot on sight, but we're not North Korea, so there's that. There's got to be a different way to handle immigration. I don't know what it is, and switching administrations from one side of everybody can come in and we're not going to do anything about it to we're kicking everybody out. You can't. We need to find a happy medium. Again, I'm not pushing politics here. It's more of a political observation. So for anybody who cares what kind of rigs I like to set up, so if I had to go down to two hooks, if I were going to use, you can have these 2 size hooks. It'd be a 5/0 and a 10/0. This is a 10/0. And the reason being, even your small channel catfish is going to be able to get this in their mouth for the most part because it's not that big. That's probably a little larger than a quarter right there. And catfish have delusions of grandeur on what will fit in their mouth. A lot of fish do. I've caught, bass with bluegill stuck in their mouth that they couldn't get down and couldn't get out because of the dorsal fins poking it. And then like a size 4 or 5 would be the other one, and that's going to get your small lakes and ponds and stuff. And you're not really sizing your hook necessarily on what you're wanting to catch. it's the size of the bait, but if you're trying for big fish, you're going to want bigger hooks. The thing you don't want to do is try putting a night crawler on a 10-aught hook, as an example. I do use circle hooks almost exclusively now. If I'm using lures, cast retrieve, of course, I'm going to be using J hooks and sickle hooks and stuff like that. But for weight and bait type stuff, or bait and weight type stuff, it's going to be circle hooks. It's better for the fish. Even if they swallow it, most of the time it's not going to hurt them. It's going to come out of their stomach. I do have a lot of offset hooks. Offset hooks are less expensive. I do read chat. Hello, Fun Fishing Adventures. Scotty. How you doing, brother? I prefer inline, but the selection of offset hooks is so much bigger than inline hooks, and therefore more competition. So, now for the anatomy of a catfish rig, there's many different ways to build a catfish rig, but the general anatomy, you get your main line that comes down to your swivel, and then you get the leader. Whatever the main line is, typically you're going to want the leader to be stronger because you're dealing with the teeth in the catfish's mouth and all that kind of stuff. But the line leading to the sinker, you want to be weaker than the main line because your sinker is the most likely thing to get hung up. And if you have to break free, you lose your sinker, you don't lose your hooks too. There you go. Scotty, I do like to hear myself talk. I would love to hear you talk. Why don't you come? Oh, Scotty, did you see? Catch Fish with Us made that for me. Miss V. There we go. I have to figure out how to turn my hands. My logo. And it's been wood burned. It's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I am trying to get watch hours, Scotty. You know exactly what I'm doing here. If I could get away with it, I'd go live during the day and just have you guys just staring at my sticker board while I worked. I'm trying so hard. I got just over 3,900 hours. You have to hit 4,000 in a year. And then this time last year, I actually had done a good series of live streams and got a lot of viewers. So I'm losing hours. I went down to 3,800, and now I'm still trying to build back up before I lose it again. So the plan is to go fishing tomorrow night. The plan that I have, if it holds true, and it's subject to change without notice, is to go on the Arkansas side of the Mississippi River under the bridge. And I don't mind telling anybody I will be armed because Memphis and their crime. Yeah. It's sad that you have to worry about people stealing your crap or mugging you or killing you just because they're heathens. And I am so jealous of like Stacy with Bank Fishing Adventures, like that creek he was fishing today. There's nothing like that around here. Everything that we have around here is polluted and feeds the Mississippi, so it's not slow moving. It's not shallow. It's not wide. It's narrow and fast. Of course, depending on how much rain we had, has some bearing on that. But I would love to be able to go to a place like where Stacy was today. That was cool. Thank you, Crypto Billy. That actually came from JCPenney. One of the life lessons I learned after age 50. I always believed the cotton thing, cotton is breathable. Cotton keeps you cool. Cotton gets my ass cotton. Okay. I have hyperhidrosis. I sweat a lot. No question about it. I found out about these 32-degree brand shirts. They're poly, lightweight. And then the overshirt is also, because I started wearing undershirts because I sweat so damn much. When I worked at FedEx in the hub, they had buses that would take us from the parking lot to the hub and back after work. And every night I'd get on the bus and I was like, what happened to you? Because my shirt would literally be nothing but soaked. I mean, just if the tail was sticking out, that was the only dry part. The rest of the shirt was 100% wet from sweat. I even took an extra shirt one night and changed in the middle between the sort and loading the plane, and still ended up with 2 soaking wet shirts. So anyway, lightweight poly breathes so much better. You did not say that 10 minutes. Scotty, I'm sitting here watching chat, you butthead. Lord. I'm trying to be interactive with chat like you say. Mike, you should always read your chat. Mike, read your chat. I'm doing it. I am doing it. Anyway. So, Scotty, I did a test earlier. You may not see it. Yes, Wildcat, I am. Thanks for asking. Flapping my gums is what I do well. I did a test earlier because I wanted to do it. I was using 60-pound Trilene Big Game. I did a no-knot snell. Pulled it to 40-plus pounds 3 different times. I pulled it, waited about 5-10 seconds, let the pressure off, did it again 3 different times. And then the 4th time I pulled it till it snapped. Snapped at 73 pounds. 60-pound line snapped at 73. After being stretched 3 times. Because I actually thought that it would weaken the line. Because I'm thinking, stretching it 2/3 of the actual rated length of it, or strength of it, that's going to, the stretch is going to, have many breaks, miniature breaks in there. Yeah. 73 point something. Now I did, so to back that up, because I expected to be around 68 pounds, but yeah. I then tied the egg loop knot and pulled it until it broke. I didn't do the pressure on, pressure off thing. It went to 68 or 69 pounds. So it's not, and that one did break at the knot, whereas the no-knot snell broke at the line further up. So the egg loop knot may lose a little bit of strength, but not nearly as much. A negligible amount, in my opinion. Improved clinch knot. Absolutely. You want it done with 60 pound? Is 60 pound what you want? Because I got 40, I got 20, I got whatever you want, within reason. Yeah. Trilene Big Game. Take one of these 3/0 swivels. They are on my Amazon store. I was going to say I'm about to do Trilene knot. That's not really what you want, is it? You want the improved clinch. Okay. So do it once. 5 reps. 2, 3, 4, 5. Through here. And back through here. And push everything down so that it cinches correctly. Easier said than done sometimes, because you know how 60-pound line is. That may have broken, that may have changed. I may have not gotten, yeah. Just so I make sure that I'm giving you accuracy here. 1, 2, 3. It's like playing with wire. 4, 5. Coming through. Back up here. And let me, there we go. I had lost full control of the line at one point. So I wanted to make sure that I cut off that piece that I had already twisted and made sure I did a good knot, because that's important. I'll leave enough of a tag in just so we have good results, so it doesn't pull through. On this side, I use a dovell, or just a surgeon's loop, I should say. And second, I'll give you guys a bird's eye view of most of what's happening. Okay. So the methodology is I put it around one of these rig pullers, and I wrap till I get to the knot, and then I go to the other side. And what this is going to do, first off, is it takes up a lot of line, but it also, because of the way the line's on here, this should not be where it breaks. So power it on, set my units to pounds, set it to peak so that it tells me what it actually breaks at. It doesn't just drop back to 0. We'll stop this on there. We'll zero it back out because there's no pressure on it. Pull just a little bit to get some pressure on it. And just so things don't go flying. What was your guess? 45 to 50. .1, 40.1. 60-pound line, improved clinch knot, which with a no-knot snell breaks at about 73 pounds. You get 40, so 2/3 of the line strength. And of course, you know what's next. I've seen the virtues of the trilene knot, so I'm going to have to put it on here to show you. Make sure I get plenty of tag in, because like I said, this stuff is kind of wiry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go through both. Okay. That's the thing, man. You know, if anybody wants to get their father a gift for Father's Day, I mean, I realize it's past, but anyway, and he does, he likes to fish. I mean, this is fun for hours. Now, granted, you know, let's be clear, that was a single pull, right? That was one test, and there is going to be variance between tests. So I've zeroed it out. I get a little pressure on this. Where's my handy dandy box? Protect the eyes, and here we go. It's already hit 50. And across the room went the this little guy. Not that one, particular one. It did break at the knot, as you can see from there. What do you think it went to? Well, I already gave away most of the answer. $61.6. 61.6. So still not as strong as the line, because the line is going to break at about 73. I found out already. And you guessed 62. Like I said, I gave part of it away, but you know, as I was counting it up some. But yeah, I mean, that's you know I'm a sucker, don't you? He's like, hey, I done found me a live one here, buddy. Give me a second. Crimpity-doo-dah, crimpity-yay. I'm gonna play with some crimpies today. Let me find the littlest one that I can. Let's see, this is... So the inside diameter is 0.70 millimeter. No, this is not going to fit 60-pound line. But I think this will only go down to 40. Yeah. Oh, one piece, one side fit through. Let's see if the other one will fit. Let me... Here, Caesar, Caesar, Caesar. We try cutting at an angle. See if I can get it to go through there twice. Of course, you want to use the smallest crimp you can get away with. Nope, won't go in there. Okay, we tried though, because I think my next smallest is going to be 0.1 or 1.0 millimeter, and these are, what did I say? These were 0.7 millimeter. That's 1.0 millimeter, and these are bigger. So we already have to accept. Yeah, the problem is finding those crimps. Finding them between, finding the 0.70 was the hardest. I would love to get smaller than 1 millimeter, but finding them is absolutely not easy. Yeah, 1 is too big, I know. But it's what I got. And it's better than none. Yeah, it's what I use on 80 and 100 pound. You're exactly right. I mean, I just want to make sure that, you know, we're clear with, let's see. Yeah, those are, I've got some like cheap little copper ones, but that's not going to work either. We'll give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, you know, I already know what the worst that could happen is. Slide that on. Slide on a swivel instead of a hook because less chance of it killing my eyeballs. So we're going to come down as reasonably close as we can. We don't want to over tighten it. We'll crimp it down. And yes, I crimped the oval, the wide or the tall side. Then I fold this piece over. Leave it in the ball. Now, if I did it right, actually I did the order wrong. I should have done the ball first and then pulled the ball up tight and then crimped it. But yeah. I don't do this often enough, so I forget my order of operations sometimes. Power you back up. Set it to pounds. Set it to peak. and get you on there. Set it back to 0 just because I put a little pressure on it when I was moving it over. And I know that you want to see this, so try as best I can. I realize it's not perfect. I know you want to see what happens right here. Protect my little eyeballs. And it is starting to slip now at 48 pounds. 52.3. $52.3. And if you want to look at the end of what happened, it pulled through because you can see the burnt end right there. Again, not unexpected, right? We already knew before we did this that it was not going to be an optimal test because the crimp was in fact too big for what I was doing. But it still beat the improved clinch knot. Yeah, it really wasn't bad for a big crimp. I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest with you. Actually, 1 millimeter is the easiest. Well, no, it's not as easy. 1.2. A lot of them start at 1.2. They'll have like a bunch of different sizes in there, and it starts at 1.2. But yeah, finding those 0.7s was actually the hardest. 0.5. Wow. Yeah. Is there anything else you want me to test before I put the toy away? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can geek out on this stuff all day. I was actually surprised at how big of a difference there was between the trilene and the improved clinch. I mean, that was almost 20 pounds of difference. Okay, so the tester is all Amazon parts. I mean, except the 2x6. So I have it hooked to a 12-volt lithium battery, which is actually the the electronics battery for my kayak. So I've got the pull tester, 30 or 40 bucks, I think, on Amazon. And then I've got a 12-inch, I don't know if 12 inches is the right number. This is 12 inch, so 12-inch movement. They make all the 24-inch linear actuator. It's got a little motor on it. Basically, there's a screw inside, and that's how it pulls in and out. And then, I've added a switch so that a momentary switch, so I can have it go back and forth. You don't have to have the switch. You could, put on the battery. One thing I would suggest, if they're still there, are they still there? You can still see them a little bit. The scars here, they were much worse. These are a few months old. Originally, I was reaching over the line and running the switch. So when the line popped, I mean, I drew blood multiple times. I wouldn't go with genius. I would go with moron with too much time on his hands. Yeah, and the reason I started doing these, so this was not something I envisioned to myself. I had checked out other knot strength videos and what I didn't like. I mean, isn't that why we're all here? We think we can do it better than somebody else, right? At least that's the hope. What I didn't like was they would show the results, but not the methodology. Or some of them would use, like one guy was using a ratchet strap to pull the line. Some were using just like scales for fish. Well, that doesn't give you the peak value because, it has to lock in. Some of them were going extremely slow. That was what really got me, was the really slow. So, if you're doing it at this speed, that's not simulating fishing, right? The fish doesn't bite it and go, I'm going to just very slowly wander off, unless it's a flathead. I mean, they hit it and they go. Now, that was the fastest one I could find for a reasonable price. It's 0.7 inches per second. A lot of them are like half that speed. The other thing was, or they didn't test the knots I wanted tested against. So, when you change equipment, right? One person's methodology versus the other one, I didn't have it all in one place. What have I tested for big hooks? Help me out by what you mean. Are you talking about the strength of the big hooks? Because I have tested that. I believe these are Uncle Lou hooks. These are size 10. Earlier when I did the pull tests and Uncle Lou doesn't sell these anymore. Earlier when I did the pull test, at the 73 break, the hook was about like this. It pulled out. It hadn't straightened, but it had permanently deformed. And even at 60 pounds, it had permanently deformed, not to the point that you would lose the hook. I don't know if I did I don't think I did a Gamakatsu yet. I'd actually have to check my my channel to see. I've got a playlist on them. Most of the hooks I tested were, 4 and 5/0. I probably tested some Eagle Claws, like the laser sharps. I'm trying to remember. There were a couple. The ones that I was really interested in, which doesn't help. It does not answer your question, I realize. Where are they? So I had bought some of these size 6 circle hooks. And actually, that may be a 1/0. Can't remember. Got some really small 1/0s. Yeah, I don't think that's a size 6. No, it's not a size 6. So these may be considered 1/0s by whatever brand they are. I wanted to see what the strength was because, and this is probably a 2/0. Because I was testing the pompano rigs. So if I'm using 20-pound mono, can my hook hold up, right? And there were some that I had from a while back that I tested. I mean, it felt like they almost went straight just looking at them. I have not tested, like I said, if I've tested any, it's been maybe an Eagle Claw and maybe a Gamakatsu, and otherwise it would be, I don't know. Big hooks are more expensive. And, oh yeah, I'm cheap. You got to remember that. So, I don't buy dollar hooks unless they're Gamakatsus, unless they're on sale, unless there's a tournament, right? I buy Amazon hooks. I buy Temu hooks. All I care about is, are they sharp enough? And then, of course, I'm interested in whether they'll hold up or not. I did have one hook break, and I don't remember which one it was, but most of them are, and it's a function of how they're hardened, right? So when you harden carbon steel, you can make it very hard, which makes it very brittle, which means it's not going to bend, it's going to break. Or you can make it a softer, a lower heat, so that it's going to bend but not break. And you got to find that sweet spot to where, I mean, the sweet spot is it's almost broken, but it's straightened out finally, right before the breaking point. And I don't know how much metallurgy goes into hook making. And a lot of them, I couldn't tell you what they are. This is 8, 9, 10/0, but it's not a bent eye. I don't think it's. I don't think it's a Catfish Sumo. these were 10 ounce, but it says octopus, and most octopus hooks, octopus actually refers to the bend, not the eye being bent backwards. Most octopus hooks are bent eye hooks, but it's the octopus, like this is an octopus style hook. It's got a very round, as opposed to this one. Uncle Lou's is not a lot different, but you can see this one comes straight down and then does a circle, whereas this one has more of a softer bend and a tighter bend here. Yeah. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. I mean, the amount of rabbit holes I go down with this stuff is both amazing and kind of scary. Like this, you get, that's more of a kale circle hook. You got a lot of straight till it comes to a sweeping bend, and it goes a very sharp backwards bend here. Yeah. And yeah, I love going down rabbit holes. It's just that the problem with rabbit holes is they're all interconnected. You go down one, you're like, ooh, shiny. And that is my ADD going crazy. So I can go down rabbit holes for hours on end. Anyway, a gentleman did send me a $2 super chat earlier, which was just, it's incredible. I'm not asking for donations. It's just, the amount of feel good I got out of that $2, because he's like, this is very informative. This is very educational, and it meant a lot to me. Again, I do have an Amazon store. If anybody, if you buy from Amazon, if you go through my store to do it, I get a commission. You don't pay more for it. There is a PC Fun referral code. If you've never signed up for PC Fun, $25 off of $70. You get $25 coupon. I get a $25 coupon. But only buy them if you're interested in the product. And typically check PC Fun's website versus Amazon. Sometimes Amazon is cheaper on PC Fun products than their own website is. And on Wildcat, that's really one of the things that I've tried to stress as I talk about these things is I'm giving you data points. I'm not telling you how to digest it. I have a real problem with the news media doing that. They're like, well, let me tell you how to think. And, I showed you that the improved clinch knot broke at 40 pounds and the trailing knot broke at 60. I can tell you without a doubt that the trailing knot is stronger, but really it doesn't mean that the trailing knot is better than the improved clinch knot for your purposes. You may not want the strongest knot. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what science is interpreting the results, and I don't want to interpret them. I want, we don't have to agree. I just want to provide you the facts, and if you come to a different conclusion, then great. A good example is reels. Some people are diehard Daiwa fans. Some people are diehard Shimano fans. Ford, Chevy, or Dodge. There's, and no matter how much information you give them, they're not. All three brands can hear the same information, and they will pick out the parts that matter to them and come to the same conclusion. And of course, there is the biggest problem to deal with in anything is confirmation bias. Well, it's what I chose, therefore I need to back up my own decision. And the higher the price of the item, the more we tend to do that as human beings. We tend to feel the need to not be wrong. I, on the other hand, I'm really good at being wrong. I can be wronger than anybody I know. Yeah, it is personal choice. I mean, and there are pros and cons, right? When I bought my truck, I brought a Nissan Titan. I can justify why. It was last year. 2024 was last year of them. They're the last naturally aspirated V8 out of there. There's no turbocharging. There's no selective cylinder shutoff. There's none of that crap. stuff. The discounts were good. The resale value is probably going to be shit. I had my last car for 10 years. The only reason I traded it in was because I'd been eyeing the Nissan Titan since 2003. Yeah. You gonna call me after my live stream's over? Well, I may want to end it right now just so I can talk to you, baby. I love Scotty. Scotty is just, he's an awesome dude. He really is. Proud to call him a friend. Be Wild said hi at 7:45. Oh, it's only 5 minutes ago. You can't yell at me for that. Yeah, you can. Be Wild, hello. I'm sorry. I missed what you said, and I apologize. And I can probably explain why. Yeah, I was looking at my phone as opposed to looking at my tablet, which has a much longer list of chat in it. I mean, if anybody wants to send me hooks or send me line to test, I will be happy to do so. I'm not asking for, a 1 pound spool of line. Usually 10 yards would be sufficient to do 5 pulls on. As you've seen, I waste a little bit of line, or a lot of line. If you want to send me a couple of hooks to see what they'll come out at, I'll be happy to. You don't have to send me the 25 pack. I'll give you the results of what you want, because it's cool. It's fun. Up until you put an eye out. They go to about I think 100, 105 pounds. Let me tell you, I've put the 100-pound offshore angler line on there before. There was a lot of puckering going on because you get all that energy built up as you've got that stretch in there. And when it pops, something's going to give. I actually have maxed it out as well. I'm telling you, man, if I were smart, I'd make a little plexiglass box that I could just put over so that all the parts that fly around in there don't get out. But yeah, that's why I used a swivel in this test as opposed to a hook. I'd much rather get hit with a swivel than a hook. Yeah, there's definitely some puckering going on. And I mean, you can tell just by the whine of the load, and you could hear it even with the 60-pound. We get up there and you hear someone, I'm starting to struggle. I'm starting to struggle. I'm starting to struggle. Yeah, 100 mile an hour. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there are things in this world that happen that weren't necessarily foreseeable accidents. An asteroid landing on your house. Putting that much pressure on mono and a hook and it flying and embedding itself in you, it's really hard to ask for much sympathy on that. You kind of know. Welder's helmet, maybe, I don't know. It's a risk I take, I know. And I try to make it somewhat safe. That was the reason for the box. Okay. Hopefully, if it goes side to side, I don't care about that until I step on it. But I just don't want it coming straight at me. There we go. I think I've done enough jibber jabbering. This makes 3 nights in a row I've been live. I appreciate all of you. With any luck, I'll be live again tomorrow night. Hopefully fishing from the banks of the Mississippi. I'll tell you, if it weren't, I'll complain about the Mississippi River for a minute. It's hard to put a dock on the Mississippi River. A courtesy dock at a ramp, because it probably has 40 pounds of flow or 40 pounds of height difference throughout the year. It's hard to launch a deep V boat by yourself when you're having to beach it. Mississippi River is a strong river. It's not to be messed with. Now, don't get me wrong. I have no fear in my boat. It's a deep V Tracker Pro Guide V175, 17.5 foot boat, deep as can be. There is nothing on the Mississippi River that isn't named barge that scares me. Barge and bridge. I'm not scared that it's going to get overturned or swamped or anything like that. But the Mississippi River is not to be played with. I'll leave it at that. And I don't like going out at night on bodies of water that have that water moving that fast. That's probably wild bankfish, but I do. And the other part is from probably 30 miles north of Memphis all the way down to the Mississippi border, state border, and probably past there if you check Mississippi, there's a don't eat these fish advisory because of mercury and all that. And that also frustrates me. You know, I'd like to go out there and, you know, if I'm out fishing and I get into a bunch of eater size, you know, well, throw them in the cooler. But yeah, I've got enough lead poisoning. I don't need mercury to go with it. What I can't figure out, and I wish I knew a marine biologist, it seems to me, right? So, especially catfish are vulnerable. Any predatory fish is, because your bait fish can eat off the bottom. Well, your Asian carp don't. They filter feed. They filter feed the zooplankton. Can it have mercury in it, or can you just catch them anywhere and they're not going to have a lot of the contaminants in them? You know, catfish are the worst because they mostly sit on the bottom. Those in carp, you know, they root around and they get in the stuff, and even, you know, even when they digest it, the mercury doesn't go away, so they die or excrete it back out, whatever. Anyway, neither here nor there. Sorry. Y'all have a good night. We will see you hopefully tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Appreciate your time.